Hi there, I'm Billy Holdsworth and I specialise in 3D environments and props. I love games and I love games design. I've recently finished watching PSX and a very entertaining year at the Game Awards. This is my ArtStation page, this is like my portfolio. I've got a few materials I've made here and a real-time environment project which I'm going to talk to you about later on in the video. You can also follow me on Twitter or contact me on LinkedIn or via my email address. Just by looking at my work on ArtStation, you can see that I'm a huge fan of Substance Designer and Substance Painter. I really enjoy using or creating procedurally generated materials. It's really helped my understanding of physically based rendering, and I love using it in environments. So this is a real-time environment creation project that I started at university, and I'm showcasing this because you can see how I've tied my knowledge of various software packages together into one finished project. It fits in well with the role of an environment artist because I've created an original environment from scratch, and it shows my natural creativity as well as my restraint and when to rein that in before things get too crazy. Something that's very tempting within Substance Designer and Unreal Engine is to go completely nuts and create something that's just unrealistic and doesn't really work well as a real-time environment. So I'll briefly walk you through how I've created this, and I'll do this alongside my pre-production materials and my early concepts so you can see what I'm talking about. So here's a mood board I created right at the start of the project. You can see from this mood board that I wanted to go for something sleek and modern. I liked the idea of having unusual patterns in my environment and having the TV and table as focal points. In the second image you can see that I used Photoshop to create a quick test layout. That was just to sort of give me a basis for when I begun the floor plan and I started modelling, so I'd know where to put everything. And these next two images, you can see these are my floor plans. I changed these around a lot actually after I'd created them, but again they were just guides really. They allowed me to finish my asset list, put them in 3ds Max and just see where I could put everything before I placed it in Engine. So the fifth image here is the 3ds Max model, and you can see how I was already considering how to light the environment. I didn't want to just light it with point lights in Unreal because I think it can create a very sort of gamey effect and it doesn't quite look as realistic, so I wanted to have natural lighting coming in through the windows and through the skylights in the ceiling. So these images show a more revised block out. You can see how my idea changed over time as the time pressure began to increase. I removed the whole idea of having an upstairs or a separate bedroom because I simply didn't have time in the project, and I didn't want the quality of the overall finished piece to suffer. This is just an example of some prop breakdowns I've done. So I made this light switch and these curtains, and I've shown how I've unwrapped those. The curtains in particular were a challenge because it was my first time using Marvelous Designer, which is a great piece of software that helps you create really realistic fabric meshes. Something that just isn't possible in the normal modifiers for 3ds Max. And here you can see my material breakdown. I'm very pleased with these floorboards because they only use very few maps. It's very easy to sort of lose control in Substance Designer and end up creating lots of different output nodes and having a huge file to put into Unreal Blueprint, but this was relatively simple, but it has such a good effect. I think this floor looks really cool. So yeah, I'm very chuffed with that. Here's a video of the finished fly-through, and you can see how using Substance Designer, 3ds Max, Marvelous Designer and Unreal Engine I've created a relatively realistic looking environment. I'm very pleased with it. I think if I were to change anything I would go back and remodel the sofa maybe in Marvelous Designer and just neaten a few things up, but overall I think it's great. So yeah, thanks for watching. Just a reminder, you can find my work on ArtStation and Twitter, you can email me or you can contact me on LinkedIn if you want to talk about anything. Thanks for your time.